Hi, and welcome to CryptoBiography. I'm your host, Brandon Starr. This is episode 418 of CryptoBiography, and it's part 4 of The Herd and the Army. And here we go. That left him in a quandary. He didn't want to leave a minotaur with the humans, but to help the minotaur, he would have to go down the slope to the ship, help, then find a way to escape. The sun would be coming up soon, and sunlight would be coming into the canyon. He wasn't sure if the sunlight would be direct or not, but it would definitely level the playing field between him and the humans. He assumed the humans would come around the cliff to where he was eventually. Maybe they thought he would go inland, or maybe they would follow him. But he was pretty sure they weren't on his trail yet. Would the humans on the ship have the new weapons? Maybe not all of them, but he had to assume some would. He decided he had to try. He made his way down the slope to the sand. It was darker down here, but he hoped he would again give him an advantage. He hoped that would again give him the advantage. There was a long gangplank put down from the deck to a convenient rock that kept it from being too long. There was a human at the top of the gangplank. He clearly couldn't see Tarve in the gloom. He leveled a fire stick at Tarve and shouted something he assumed was a demand to show himself. But there were plenty of rocks on the beach. He'd grabbed one just before he had shown himself. He hurled it, and it hit the man in the throat. He dropped instantly. But there would be others. He mounted the plank to the deck. The human was dying and choking. Not knowing how the weapon worked, he snatched it up and tossed it overboard into the water. There were 3 other humans. They didn't have fire sticks, but they had clubs and swords. They'd also done something to bring some light to the deck. Still, these he could deal with. He wanted the club, so he struck out with a fist and smashed the human in the face, holding it. The man fell down unconscious. He tugged the club out of his grip, even as he fell, and turned on the 2 with swords. They were already stabbing forward. He danced back, swung the club, but they ducked. He continued the swing, brought it around again, just missing its horns, and brought it down on the head of the ducked human. Blood and brains splashed the deck, and he turned on the final human. This one was now wary, but was not running. Tarve looked around. He saw a small wood and metal cage, and in it the shadow of a huddled figure. He could tell it was a minotaur. There was a bit of horn poking out from between 2 of the bars. He turned back on the final human. He was holding his sword out at Tarve. He knew that the weapon could kill him, but he also knew he had the advantage. He stepped forward and brought the club overhead. The human raised the sword, preparing to block or deflect it. He took advantage of the action to give a heavy kick, which met the human in his solar plexus. He crumpled with a cry, and Tarve crushed his skull with the club. He turned on the cage. "Tarve?" the minotaur said. He recognized the voice instantly. "Father?" he asked. "Yes. There's a device that the final human you killed has in a pocket. That will release me from the box and chains." Tarve went over the human, found a metal object shorter than his hand, and held it up. "Yes, bring it here. I saw them use this the few times they let me had a moment to stretch. Please hurry." Tarve gave his father the key, then looked around to see if there were more humans about to attack. He saw some humans at the stem of the ship, but they didn't look like they wanted to attack at present. His father freed himself and clambered out of the cage. "Let's go," Tarve said, almost shouting in his excitement. "Yes, but let's be quieter about it," his father said. "Are you okay?" Tarve asked. "Do you need help?" "I'll be stiff and sore, but I can move," his father replied. They went back to the gangplank and trotted down it to the boulder, and from there down to the sand. "There were humans behind me. We might meet them on the way up," Tarve said. "Let's instead go down the beach and away from where I think they landed their other ships." "Okay," his father said, "but the humans on the ship will follow us, or let the other humans know where we went." "Let's see if I can do something about that," Tarve said. He picked up a rock and threw it at one of the humans looking over the deck railing. It didn't hit square, but it hit solidly enough that the human fell backward with a cry. The other humans nearby ducked down and out of sight, possibly to tend to their now wounded comrade. Tarve had another thought and tugged on the gangplank. It was connected by something, but he wrenched it free, cracking part of it in the process, and let it fall to the ground. "Let's go," he said. They waited, then swam until they'd gotten past the ship. then past the narrowest part of the inlet, and to where the beach widened out again. Then they clambered out of the water on the side further from where the humans had first come. The sun was about to come up, and the sky was getting light. They knew they might be spotted, but they had no choice. They hustled down the beach, away from where the humans had landed. Would there be yet more ships in the direction they were running? It was possible, but they didn't see any. Once they had gotten around the first bend, they slowed down. Tarve helped his father along, who was clearly weak from the abuse he had suffered. "The plan was last minute," Tarve explained as they walked, "so I don't have any food or water or anything. I didn't know how I was going to draw them away even." "It's okay," his father replied. He looked up at the cliff beside them. "The cliffs will continue for a while." "I remember," Tarve said. "After that, we should start working back towards the town." No humans were chasing them, so they continued steadily up the beach. The cliff eventually shrank until it became a hill, and they walked up it and back into the interior of the island. Tarve's head was almost swimming. His father was alive. He had so many questions, but he was still at times helping support his father as they walked along. He could hear his breath coming harder than it should for the distance they had walked. No, his questions would wait. And that's the end of the episode for this week. If you have any comments or questions about this episode or previous episodes, CryptoBiography@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook or Blue Sky. And thanks for listening. Words and music, copyright 2025, Brandon Starr, all rights reserved. Characters and events are fictional, fictionalized, or satirical.